So Mark, we're getting closer and closer to your first tournament. It's less than a month away, I think.
Less than a month away on Sam Rayburn.
Yeah.
So today, guys, we're going to kind of get into a little bit about how I prepare, not in terms of getting rods ready and things like that, but what research do I do to get ready for an upcoming tournament? Stick around, we'll be back right after this. Welcome back to MFO, everybody. I'm Mark Fisher.
I'm Megan Fuller.
So yeah, Megan, I'm a little less than a month out, and this is the first tournament, which means there's a lot going on. Not only do I have to get rods and reels restrung and things like that, I got to get the boat wrapped, I got to get the boat loaded because it's a new boat, and a lot of other things. The boat, I need to break in the motor on the boat. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that first tournament.
Right.
But there's also the research that needs to get done for that tournament itself. So this part that we're going to talk about today is the part that's consistent every time I go to fish a tournament. So that's the only part that we're going to talk about today. What do I do that goes into my preparation, my research for a body of water when I'm about to get there? Okay. And the timing is about right. I usually spend the first month or 3 weeks, 3 to 4 weeks prior to the tournament starting to get that information. So I'm going to break it down in several different areas.
Okay.
The first area is the weather. Obviously, a lot of these tournaments are going to be held far away from where we are right now. So my conception of what the weather's like in Texas right now, I have no idea. So I'm going to be constantly each morning kind of checking what's the weather like in Texas for the next 3 to 4 weeks. That I kind of have a conception of what, if you ask me what's the weather been like here in Illinois through December, I'd be able to say, just because I've experienced, we've experienced a pretty mild winter so far. And now, this week, we're going to get into the first cold snap of the winter.
Right.
I know that because I've experienced it.
Right.
I want to be able to give that same answer for the place that I'm going to be fishing. So I'm going to be paying attention to what the weather is like in Texas for the next 3 to 4 weeks.
Okay.
So that's number one. Number two, I'm going to be paying attention on a daily basis to what the water level is. Is the water down? Have they drawn it down for a winter drawdown? Is it coming up? Is there an expectation for it to come up? So water level is the second component of that. The third part that I'm going to be paying attention to is I'm going to be going on Google Earth, and I'm going to be looking at what the bank cover looks like at the water depth that it currently is now. Now, let me point this out. How do you know what the water level is? You can find out what the water level is now, but how do you know that when you're looking at Google Earth, what the water level is? Well, you can go back and find out what the water level was at 2000 in January, or in 2019 in January.
That's recorded everywhere?
Yeah, you can get that information. Okay. And now what you do is you go to Google Earth and you pick out the images from that year when the water level is similar to where you anticipate it being now. I'll give you a good example. We were in Sam Rayburn 2 years ago.
Okay.
And I have some places that I was fishing 2 years ago. But that water level was 4 feet higher 2 years ago than I anticipate it being when we go there in 3 weeks. So if in fact that stays the case and the water level is lower, there are some places that I fished 2 years ago that I'm not even going to look at because they're going to be bone dry by the time I get there.
Right. Okay.
On the other hand, if I'm watching water levels and they're saying, oh, they might get back up to that level, bingo. Now okay, there were some places that I want to go back to because I know that at that water level, there was some good fishing in those locations.
Okay.
So I'm kind of bringing up the fourth thing, which is my history. I've got spots that I've got marked on my units where I've done well. And so I'm going to look at that. But you've heard me talk on this channel several times about not relying on history. I'm just putting it out there right now, and I'm saying this more as much for me as I am for you. I am not going to spend a lot of time in those places, even if water levels and things match to where, oh, I think those are going to be good place to fish. I'm not going to spend a lot of time in practice doing that. I'm going to save those for maybe the last day of practice. Go hit them, check them out. Boom, caught a fish. Maybe not even caught, but had one bite, one without a hook. Cool, there are still fish there. I know enough about it. My past history has told me that there are good fish there. I'm not gonna burn those fish out during practice.
Incorporating your history is different than relying on history.
I'm gonna incorporate it, confirm it, and get out and wait until tournament day to get in there and catch those fish. I do not need to spend a lot of time that gives me more time to practice new areas, find new information, and I don't have to spend all that time rehashing information that I already should know and should be confident in. Okay?
Okay.
So then the final thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get on YouTube and I'm going to look up a lot of current information about what's going on Sam Rayburn. Are there any recent tournaments that have occurred? Are there tournaments from a year ago at the same time period? And I'm going to kind of pay attention to those YouTube videos and those things that I find on the internet to kind of give me additional information. Now, I've done a lot of that. I've done a lot of that over the years. So the likelihood is I'm not going to find a lot of new information. But for somebody who maybe, we've got a viewer right now who's, hey, I'm planning a trip in early spring to go to Lake Guntersville, and I've never been there, but I've heard that it's great. Going on YouTube and looking at some YouTube videos from somebody who fished Lake Guntersville in the early spring gives you a point of reference, a place to start in terms of, I'm going to a lake I've never been before. Where should I try? Well, try the places that you saw and use that as a starting place.
But you can still, you can go on YouTube and you can look at all those videos because that's public information.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah. And for me, as a tournament angler, the one thing that I can't do is call my buddy who lives down in Texas and say, hey man, can you tell me where they're biting right now?
Right.
Because that's not allowed for me to do. So can't do that, but I can check out any public resources that are available to anybody. And so I'm going to use that in a big way. Yeah, that's the one thing that somebody who's going on a fun fishing trip to Guntersville,
right?
And hey, Mark, could you give me an idea about where we should start if we're going in April? Yeah, let me tell you, I can give them that information, whereas I can't get that kind of information from somebody else. So those steps, guys, are the steps that I'm going to take, and quite honestly, I would recommend any of those steps to somebody else. Like I said, if you're going to go on your first fishing trip this year is to some lake that you've never been to and you want to get kind of a place to start, that's what I would recommend in terms of kind of getting an idea of where to start on that new body of water. And it can be daunting to go across the country and you're excited, super excited about going to a body of water that's got a good reputation. And boy, it's spring and it's cold up here in the north and we want to get down and start fishing Okeechobee or Guntersville or somewhere like that, or Rayburn. And, we're excited about getting there and catching big fish to start the year off. But you want to maximize that. You don't want to just be running around, kind of helter-skelter. And so doing that prep work can give you a good idea about where to start. Guys, I hope this information helps. Please send your comments. And again, as always, if you wouldn't mind hitting that subscribe button, the like button if you found this information helpful, send us your comments. We appreciate all of that. Take care, and we'll see you again tomorrow on Mark Fisher Outdoors.